Hey guys, thank you guys for all the comments. Like and subscribe. My name's James. I have all my net worth in crypto. Extremely stupid. Don't recommend anyone do it. This is just a disclaimer here. You can pause the video and read it. It essentially says I'm not a financial advisor. Investing in crypto is extremely risky. Um, but I wanted us to just take a moment to take a look at the market, and also I'm going to walk through my portfolio and tell you at what different levels I'm selling at. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So to start with, um, I'm just going to unhide these as we move along. So the first coin, of course, on the top of the list is Aether, and my first sell target is 12 cents. So let's jump over and take a look at Aether. Let me just get this pulled up. I prefer to look at it on CoinMarketCap. So Aether had a good day today, like 4% up. Let's look at the all-time chart. Okay, so Aether's taken a beating lately. It's been insane. So we had a nice run up to 5.5 cents, and we're down to 3 cents. So I told you my first sell target is 12 cents, and that would be the break of its all-time high here over at about 9 cents. So once that 9 cent level breaks and it goes up, my first sell is 10% of my portfolio at 12 cents. And I've gone in and I've hidden the amount of each of these I own, but Aether is my top hold. Let's take a look at the sell to target. All right, so we'll take a look at the sell to target. I'm selling 50% at 25 cents. So essentially, I feel that once we break the 12-cent level and things are moving, that 25 cents is not out of reach, and that's roughly a 10x from where we are right now. These numbers could change. They could go down or up depending on how the market or this particular coin Aether is behaving. And then finally, kind of looking for a blow off top area, I'm looking at the 40 cent, or let's see, no, 50 cent range. So if I could get 50 cents out of Aether, that would be ridiculous. All right, guys. Oh, and one of the commenters said, this guy's extremely bored, get a dog. I just want to let you know I got a dog. His name is Shade. He's a crypto enthusiast, and he's about 8 years old. So, um, yep. All right, let's move on to the next coin on the list. All right, let's take a look. It is Ondo. So, Ondo was kind of like my insurance policy on my crypto portfolio because I feel that just real world assets in themselves and the fact that it's one of the leading ones just made a whole lot of sense. So, all right. Started off at somewhere around the 25 cent range back in February of 2024. It had a significant run up, up to nearly $2, and now it's sitting at $1 even. The market cap is currently 3.35 billion, so it's a large cap, but I think it could, pull a lot of investors if they start looking at things like um, real world assets. So, especially if they start tokenizing stocks, which actually they're already doing. I made a video on my channel about it, so take a look at that. But from my research, I've kind of concluded that once we reach that previous all time high of $2, I'll take 10% off. And that 10% off is just to de risk myself some. But let's look at the sell to target. All right, so at $3.50, I will sell maybe 60%. I think this is kind of a very safe number. I actually might bump this up a little bit more depending on how Ondo performs after it breaks its previous all-time high. It's kind of a safer target. And then finally, the last target, 30% of my portfolio at a $5. And I think that's more in line. So with what we could expect, I don't think that's outrageous. So that would be a 5x from here. So roughly a $15 billion market cap. That's not a big deal for something as big as Ondo. GPU, one of my smaller cap plays, Node AI. We can take a look at it on the chart here. So this one I've been holding, and the only reason I haven't sold it is because I've been holding it for over a year, so I get the tax advantage of having a long-term hold. Otherwise, if I didn't have that, I might consider moving it into something else because, but yeah, it is a deep in project. It ran up to $2 quite effortlessly. We're at a $44 million market cap right now. And at 44 cents. So let's see what our sell targets are. All right, sell targets. On hide, $1.50, which isn't even its all-time high. So that's taking 10% off the table. And then breaking, if it breaks its all-time high of $2, I see that the run to 4 wouldn't be a big deal, and I would take 65% off at that number. And then for the big blow off top and hope, still within reason, $6, taking 25% off. All right, moving on down. So let's see what else we got here. Beam. All right, the gaming coin. So let's take a look at Beam, where we're currently sitting at under a penny, 0.8 of a penny. Had two big run-ups to 4 cents. So 4 cents was kind of like that, resistance area in the past. It's sitting at a $420 million or a half a billion in fully diluted value. All right, so let's take a look at the sell percentages. So I'm going to take 10% off at first at 3 cents. So that's not even to all-time high. I'm already taking some off. The next big target, which is 50% of my portfolio, I'm taking off at 10 cents, which actually is very high. I might bring this down a little bit. That seems a little bit high, actually. Being that would be over 2x from its all-time high. And then finally, 40% at 20 cents. But if the gaming narrative picks up, these numbers are still possible. It's just that this one would be pushing it just a little bit. Let's look at the next coin. All right, this one's newly added to the portfolio, Aleph. So this is a cloud computing project, and obviously if Aleph Cloud, this one, like I said, newly added. It's very small. It's a $20 million market cap. You can see it's had run-ups up as high as 75 cents in the past. Currently sitting at 9 cents. So this one would move very quickly. And let's just take a look at what the first sell target is. So I said the top was 75 cents. So half of that. So at 40 cents, I'm taking 10% off. And then let's bring this up. I'm taking 50% off at roughly the all-time high. And then I'm keeping the rest for the moonshot. Sell target $2. So $2, guys, it sounds crazy, but that is a 10x from current. Let's see, what is that? What is that? So $2, we're at 10 cents right now. So a 10x would be $1. All right, so it's a 20x away. So that would be a big one. But since it is a smaller market cap, it does have the potential to move faster and harder. So I don't think that's too crazy. All right, VPS AI, one of my smaller holds, but kind of like a left. They're kind of in the same bucket. It is a D-pin project. This one is just kind of like throwing a dart at the wall. This one isn't something I would recommend having a lot of because it is so small, and I'm just kind of shooting for this one. If the D-pin narrative picks up, maybe some of these micro caps will get picked up. You can see over the past year, it's done, I don't know if you can even say bad. It's just been kind of flat, maybe cut in half. It's cut in half over the last year. But you can see when excitement picks up, this thing moves extremely quickly. Like I said, guys, very small portion of my portfolio, like under 1%. And this is sitting at a 660,000 market cap. But you can take a look at the website if you'd like. I only have it because if the D-pin narrative picks up and people start looking for other things that fall into the D-pin bucket, I feel like this could easily move quickly. Yeah. So here's their website and things like that. All right. So this one, what's my targets? It's currently sitting at, let's just call it 1 penny. So currently sitting at 1 cent. My first sell target is at 4 cents. So that's not that big of a deal. This could easily move, being that it's $600,000 market cap, very quickly. My next sell target, 20 cents, selling 50%. And then finally, 80 cents, I'm getting rid of all of it. All right, let's look at the next one up. Talbot. So I made a video all about this on my channel. It is the DEX for Talbot Tensor. So let's take a look at it. It's only a $42 million market cap. Once again, a small portion of my portfolio. It's had a nice run up here recently since I bought it at 40 cents. It's now sitting at 55. It's approaching its all-time high here. All-time high sitting at 82 cents. Once again, $42 million market cap. Guys, if this were to run and act like the aerodrome for base, if this becomes that narrative, then running to a 10x from here up to $5 is not a big deal. But let's go ahead and look at the sell targets. $2, so half of what I just said. Selling 10%, and then selling 50% at $5, right? So 50% at $5. So its all-time high was, around 80 cents, let's call it. Running to $5 at a current 42 million isn't a big deal. And then finally, selling 40% at $10, and that's kind of a moonshot. So that may or may not come to fruition. But just in case Talbot Tensor takes off, I really want to have a leverage play such as Talbot in my portfolio. Netmind, I'm not going to cover it here. It was kind of like going on what BitTensor was doing, but since it hasn't performed very well, I think people have lost interest. So you can research that one on your own if you would like. Let's see if we have another exciting one here. Okay, base swap. This one's interesting. So, all right, everyone knows Aerodrome. Aerodrome has done really, really well. this bounce. This bounce has done really well. We're already back up near $1. So let's just look at Aerodrome really quick before we move into the pick, which is base swap. Guys, you can see down here, Aerodrome hung around 2 cents forever. And then it just exploded, right? It's the DEX for base, the decentralized exchange for base. So what base swap is it's essentially the same thing. Let's look at it. It's sitting at a market cap. Okay, this one is super small, guys. Once again, not a very big position on this. Maybe like $500 I have in this. Yeah, so you can see the chart. Looks brutal. Just going sideways, not doing anything big. But take a look at this, guys. If you go to their website, it's very, very similar. I mean, you can hit trade now. They have a working product. Okay? They have a working product, and we're sitting at a $1 million market cap. Guys, this could easily do like 100x if the base narrative catches on. And Base just recently rebranded their app from Coinbase Wallet to, it's called Base now. I just noticed like 3 days ago when I opened my phone, my app was called something different. And I thought, like, what is that? And yeah, they rebranded it to Base. So the point of all this being, this is like my 100x play right here. That's what I'm shooting for. And I'm not sure if I've updated my price targets according to this, but let's say we're at 12 cents now. $12, $10 isn't crazy. That would put it at 100 million. 100 million market cap. But we'll just go and see what I have entered here. 10 cents at $1. So that's a 10x. And then 50% at $2. That's a 20x. And then 4 at a 30 at $3, 40% at $3. So 30x. So not too crazy for something that's at $1 million market cap and they have a working product. The next one up is Carrot. Guys, the reason I invested in this was because I heard some videos talking about how much money and VCs backed this at a much higher valuation. And we can just look at it here. It's sitting currently at 18 million. Once again, a small portion of my portfolio. Most of my portfolio is between Aether, Ondo, and Beam. Those are really the big ones. And then the rest of these are kind of just a little bit here and there. 500, maybe 1,000. And we can take a look at their website. Yep, so it's a gaming platform. Yeah. So it's currently sitting at 5 cents. It has an all-time high of $1. That's why I really went ahead and invested in this, is because it's already proven that it can reach these valuations. If we just look at the market cap of what it was, okay, so they've had some dilution. So the peak market cap was at 113 million. So that would be a 5x from here. Peak price, like I said, $1. So let's take a look at what my price targets are. I'm taking 10% off as usual at 20 cents. All right. And then taking 50% off at 40 cents. And then hoping we reach back to that all-time high. I'm not even anticipating it reaches the all-time high. So the peak I'm expecting is 60 cents, which I don't think is crazy. Finally, Vader AI. So this is an AI agent which I added within the last week or so. I'm going to make a video about it. I think it's really cool. It's a DAO, and we can just look it up here. You guys can, of course, do your own research on these. None of this is financial advice. Vader currently sitting at 2 cents, and we take a look at it here. All right, peaked out during that December January run up to 14 cents. Currently sitting at 2 cents. Yeah, spent a lot of time around the 1 cent range. So this one, of course, you guys can take a look at it for yourselves. Currently sitting at 2 cents. Let's see, my first take profit is at 30 cents because it is a smaller market cap. So over a 10x from here. My next take profit is 60 cents. And then finally, to wrap this up, guys, at $1. I just called it $1. I'd be happy to get out at something like that. All right, so you can see the way I've structured this is I'm going to take 10% off early on. This kind of gets me out of the woods financially. And then, of course, taking close to a half off the table when I start hitting those sell 2 targets, which are like my medium targets. And then I have more aggressive sell 3 targets, which I'm taking somewhere between 30 to 40% off at these blow off tops. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for joining today. Keep going. Hang in there. Ethereum had a great day today, so we should all be happy. All right. See ya.